Hello, and welcome to the first part of our new C2 seminar series. My name is Scott Ward, and my colleagues Josh Thiel, Don Uwe, and John Fry will be your hosts. First, I'd like to cover some administrative details. You can ask questions through the questions module, and we will answer those at the end. The recording for this webinar will be posted early next week if you'd like to review it in the future. With that, we will get started, and I will hand this off to Josh.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on our new series of Command and Control seminars. I'm Josh Thiel, USMC C2 Account Manager, and I'm joined by my colleague, Don Uwe, and we're on the Defense C4ISR team at Esri. And together, we'll be guiding you through a series of seminars that will be focused on Command and Control C2 specifically. Throughout this journey, we will be showing you how Esri can provide an assured enterprise warfighting network, allowing timely and persistent information exchange in the most demanding environments and circumstances, realized through effective and responsible stewardship. Over the next couple of series, we will be showing you solutions of how GIS can solve your data analysis and visualization needs, helping you make accurate decisions faster.
I'm Don Uwe, Esri's C4 ISR account manager for the U.S. Navy. Before coming to Esri, I served in the Marine Corps for 26 years as an O261 GIS analyst and retired as an O291 Intel Chief, Master Gunnery Sergeant. Today marks the start of our first ever Defense C2 webinar series, and during this webinar, we bring solutions to modernize your ability to perform command and control, C2, in what we call dashboards. C2 is not only for the operators, but extends to other areas such as manpower, training, equipment, logistics and supply operations, and information technology. While I served in the Marine Corps, I saw many stovepipe programs that were dated or quite frankly, a one-trick pony. Things such as seeing only enemy or blue force locations with basic information were manually input by the lonely cop manager sitting on the watch floor, and typically only viewable within eyesight. I observed manpower and status logistics operations being managed via spreadsheet, then briefed from a slide or a piece of paper. I thought to myself, there has to be a better way. Now imagine, if you would, a COP or RMP, regional maritime picture, where you could not only visualize any data, but interact with it, share it with anyone, anywhere, and receive alerts as they happen in real time. Then be able to share the COP or RMP across multiple commands and multiple op centers. At the same time, imagine seeing other commands information configured how you would like to see it from your desk on your mobile device. You literally would be able to see the whole area of operations at real time.
When we talk about data, it comes in various sets, styles, and from different command levels. Now, ops and intel can share data throughout the force across your networks and domains by using GIS. A means for C2 to plug in and share information at the highest levels of command, all the way down to your shooter in a standard format you can now interact with. Using GIS for C2 provides the ability to respond to emerging threats at a global scale and sets out a standard for your network by consolidating resources and optimizing network operations, unifying your data at its simplest form.
During this first webinar, we're going to introduce you to dashboards. It's a means to modernizing your common operating picture. Simply put, it's your information configured how you want to see it. During this C2 webinar, we'd like to drive home three main points. 1, the ability to easily bring in any data from multiple sources. 2, make sense of that data. Then 3, visualize that information in a configurable dashboard. Let's take a quick look at the end product. Off to you, John.
Hello, I'm John Fry. I'm a solution engineer here at Esri, and today I'll show you how we can create dashboards by using the ArcGIS system. ArcGIS dashboards are used for real-time monitoring, presenting key performance indicators, and providing situational awareness. All these are very important to effective C2 missions. Let's examine some examples of ArcGIS dashboards. This is a good example of a dashboard, one created by Johns Hopkins University and displays COVID-19 information. This dashboard updates when the data updates, so we always get the most accurate to-date information. The main widget in this dashboard is a map showing total cumulative cases, And they have it configured so it updates the widgets on the side. In this dashboard, the widgets are lists, indicators describing cases, deaths, and vaccine doses administered, and chart information on the right, displaying worldwide daily cases, deaths, and total vaccines. When we interact with the map, we click on US, the information will update on the right here. We can compare this information to, say, other countries like India, where the US, we actually saw a drop in daily cases, daily deaths, and a high rise of vaccines. India is a little bit different story. They have high cases, it's coming down, but their death rate was also pretty high, while the US and other nations, the death rates have dropped. And compare this to, say, the United Kingdom, where the cases have leveled off, a little uptick recently, but the deaths have also dropped, and the vaccines have increased. Dashboards are easy to use, interactive, and give simple displays of the data. Let's examine another dashboard. Here's another dashboard that describes more of a tactical situation as compared to the COVID-19 dashboard. This dashboard displays different feeds that would support a C2 mission. On the left-hand side, we have UAV information coming in. We can see the unit updating, as well as the field of view. When the field of view goes over the target area, we get captures of imagery from that asset. This dashboard also contains a traffic camera feed. Connecting this feed allows the command center to be up to date on the situation out in the field. Let's examine the operation that's going around this facility here. In the map, we see some blue forces and red forces, and these are feeds coming in through GeoEvent. We can see their locations in the list widgets on the right, and red forces on the right here. When units move into designated geofenced areas, such as small arms effective range from guard towers, we get alerts, and they're seen with a red square around the unit. They're seen in the dashboard in this list widget right here. This dashboard also has information updated from the field, such as medevac requests. So units out in the field could be filling information in a form and notifying the command center of an issue. One thing this dashboard has is the flexibility to add in other dashboards as well. We see an example of how weather affects operations. Weather is very important to take into consideration as it can inform the planner what platforms to use and how and where to conduct the operation. If conducting operations in this AOR at this time, UAV operations and aerial reconnaissance are both going to be hindered by this weather front moving eastward. Both of these operations will be unfavorable due to high rains, high percent of cloud cover, and high winds. In this demonstration, a few good examples of ArcGIS dashboards are shown. One dashboard shows an example at a global scale, and the other was more tactical. Although supporting different missions, both were effectively communicating situation awareness in support of C2. I'm going to turn this back over to Josh and Don. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Before moving on, let me tell you a little bit about Esri. We're an American company headquarters in Redland, California. We're founded more than 50 years ago and support over 350,000 different customers solving spatial problems. Esri is the world's leading mapping software company who problem solve with GIS to help you see what others can't. With the world changing in the blink of an eye, Esri is helping its users unlock the full potential of data to solve real problems in real time.
A bit about what we do. We are constantly pushing the boundaries of GIS to create deeper insight and understanding to the science of where. This is what we do. Things are always on the move. The environment is always shifting and adapting to events occurring around it. The information, let's call it data, surrounding those events comes in at a rapid pace, sometimes too fast and bulky for the human brain to process. By using location and geography to integrate, analyze, and understand all type of data, we are able to enhance missions of all types to understand the science of where.
And why we do it is for the mission and supporting the warfighters. We want to understand your environments, use your data sets from your sensors, and help create standards for your operating procedures and make it a repeatable practice. This will support and streamline operations and provide enhanced situational awareness. We do not work on commissions or quotas, meaning therefore we are focused on supporting you and your mission.
GIS is integrating geography into virtually everything we do. It's changing the way we think through seeing things differently, then taking action. As an example, if you think about the things we do to navigate to a location, we use GPS on our phone to tell us how to get somewhere. We receive additional information that tells us how long, at what speed, and the traffic jams ahead of us that will affect travel time. And it provides us options for other routes to avoid tolls and gives us options to choose from before we decide and act. That's all GIS is in its simplest form. If you take simple GIS a little further, we use it to read reviews from other people to make a decision on a particular business. Multiple inputs from a wide variety of people in different locations, all with varying degrees of satisfaction shown by 1 to 5 stars, and in reality is all we consider all their input. All this helps us to understand before you take action. It inspires you to move forward or remain the course, ultimately changing the way we think and act.
Geography as a science is what provides us the context and the content of our world. It also provides a framework of understanding our world, bringing all our measurements together, analyzing them, visualizing them, and then understanding it. It's not simply the physical geography that I'm talking about. It's the interaction of the environment that affects it has on decision making or situational awareness. The interaction of events and people, the abundance of information and how to make sense of it, bridging the gap to disparate information and making sense of it for an effective operation can be understood through geography as a medium. When we consider GIS and geography, we have to understand the data and what goes into it. Data is everything. Without it, we're lost in the dark. It takes data to understand. When I say data is everything, it's also everywhere. It's vast and it comes in very different formats and sets. GIS in a web environment or web GIS can represent all types of data. Of course, geospatial, like imagery and maps, also tabular, unstructured, and real-time, and even LiDAR data, and even more. We all know that data formats vary. That's why we wanted to show you that ArcGIS integrates all types of data, whether unstructured imagery or real-time feeds, can be mashed up and integrated and normalized. That way, multiple information sources can be fused to make better decisions and take information actions quicker. We know that real-time data and FMV and how it's integrated is important to this community. So now we can show you in real time, your real-time data and your FMV data can be leveraged immediately. The struggle to integrate data between ops and intel is not easy. The result of this struggle was often stovepiped information that was not where it needed to be and when it needed to be there. Data in any format needs to be brought into a geospatial infrastructure where it's stored, enabled for open source access, then shared and visualized, turning data into actionable information quickly. Expediting your sensor to shooter timeline, or for some of us, going from sensor to the watch floor, then determining if the data satisfy the commander's critical information requirements, ultimately developing data into visualization, actionable information. So some of us call this a one-stop shop or a one-man fighting hole. In reality, this is how some of us look at data. Multiple screens, one mouse and keyboard, and you sitting behind all of it trying to make sense of it. Or this is you with multiple spreadsheets scattered on a large table. And some of you are, the warriors trying to make sense of all of this. We've all been there and done that. Today's GIS can help you do this better?
It's a complex problem and different at every level. Information from multiple sources, multiple platforms, hundreds of reports, and ensuring it's all relevant and makes sense is the task at hand. It requires a complex architecture that must accommodate exotic sensors, unique data types, and analytic requirements, with the ability to standardize and visualize it all. This is the same challenge across all the services as well. It's all about visualizing the data. For multiple sources of data, it's the input. Multiple sensors from the varying platforms such as satellite, air breather, ground and sea to human information. Then you have to be able to ingest the data to make sense of it. Once it's in, you have to conduct metadata processing, spatial, temporal, event-driven data tagging, then normalizing the data so that you can perform analysis to see what others can't. Analysis is where the analyst-initiated process creates rules, alerts, and correlations in order to visualize the data. Here's where configurable views break down the barriers where you can finally visualize your data and interact with it via a common operating picture in dashboards. Esri's real-time visualization and analytics allows users to integrate various sensor network and IoT devices, bringing data integration into Portal. You may be familiar with the real-time and big data capabilities of ArcGIS Enterprise, where GeoEvent and GeoAnalytics Server are two of the primary products that allow you to bring in and analyze voluminous data streams. Well, ArcGIS Velocity is a parallel to those products, but in the cloud. ArcGIS Velocity is a new offering for the ArcGIS real-time visualization and analytics capability. So it has GeoEvent's capability for real-time incident detection and alerting, and GeoAnalytics capability for big data summarization and analysis with differences in speed and volume, and the reduction in complexity and maintenance of a software as a service product. In the C2 space, there's a lot of development going on with our out-of-the-box SDKs and APIs. Now you can deploy custom apps now instead of spending time developing from scratch. We do that through a paradigm of configuring. When C2 app developers receive requirements to provide an app or configurable applications template, or app builders can speed up that process without writing one line of code, spending time deploying a solution instead of developing it, which we'll show today in C2 dashboards. We also have application development use cases, APIs, and SDKs for developers to build custom apps for their end user.
In order to get a full functioning interactive dashboard, it requires a complete and comprehensive infrastructure to understand what you're seeing. This is ArcGIS Enterprise, which is integrated and open and allows you to leverage data in real time, as Don just mentioned. What WebGIS brings to the C2 community is, first, it's simple to use because of our portal, which is a complete content management system, and it's integrated across all ArcGIS products. And most importantly, it's built on open standards and architecture. If we start at the bottom, it's server managed, which allows you to bring in data from anywhere and anytime, giving you the access to bring in all different types of data that we talked about earlier. It has content and services, which allows you to leverage both internal and external data from your organization to be hosted. If we look at the middle, Portal is our content management system, which allows you to access content or data and services in order to discover, use, manage, and share that information via WebGIS. It also allows you to leverage 2D web maps and 3D web scenes to configure, build, and configure apps. Here at the top is where you can access WebGIS through a desktop, web, or mobile device and leverage that data across a series of formats. Now that you have a foundational understanding of ArcGIS Enterprise and how it corresponds to dashboard or a common operating picture, our colleague John Fry will be showing us the ins and outs now.
For developers supporting C2, having to find data, connect to live feeds, and construct an easy-to-understand situational awareness application can be very hard to do. ArcGIS gives the users ability to quickly search and discover data, connect to and analyze live feeds, and gives the users ability to quickly configure dashboards supporting a wide array of missions. Let's take a deeper look at how a C2 application developer can quickly create a dashboard like this one with blue force assets and events occurring around them. It usually starts out with a request for information, an operational need from a user. A challenge would be finding the information, but ArcGIS makes it easy. Within this geospatial infrastructure, information is easily found through sites, or focus pages about a topic, the gallery or groups, important information to the organization organized into focused groups, and then there is robust search capability, allowing users to find the information through keyword searching and filtering. Depending on the deployment of ArcGIS, behind a firewall, a hybrid, or ArcGIS Online, more information can be used to augment the existing geospatial infrastructure. These can be base maps, ArcGIS Online data, living atlas data, or other readily consumed GIS data. The data is then put into a web map. It's part of the geoinformation model where users integrate data, decide what symbology to use, and design information pop-ups, as well as set other features that carry on through to the apps. The web map is shared to the apps, which can easily be configured to meet the user's needs, whether they need a dashboard, something that works in the field, or any other type of web application. Then there is data that resides outside the geospatial infrastructure. These could include unstructured text, sensor feeds, or other intelligence or C2 data. Ingestion of this type of data can be accomplished in many ways, whether using ArcGIS Pro or ArcGIS Pro Intelligence, to ingesting real-time services through ArcGIS GeoEvent server, to integrating data through tools. ArcGIS has the ability to get the data into the geospatial infrastructure. In this next section, three major items will be discussed in the creation of the C2 dashboards. 1. Being able to use an organized content system to search, discover, and create apps, which is ArcGIS Enterprise and Portal for ArcGIS. 2. Using a real-time ingestion capability to integrate various feeds. And 3. Finally, creation of dashboards to support situation awareness of C2 missions. Now that a brief foundation has been set, let's go examine some of the capabilities of the portal. Here we're at my organization's portal front page, and we can begin by viewing some of the content shared with the organization. This is featured content for the entire organization, such as the dashboard seen earlier in this presentation. With the gallery, we can discover other information within the portal. We can quickly view content such as applications, data, tools, and other items. We can quickly filter by applications and dashboards to see other COPs and SIPs shared with the organization. Let's begin to use the content in the portal to create our own dashboard. Let's open the map. And we're going to first examine the base map. It's important to pick a base map that you want to carry on to the apps that make sense. There's some here that show topography, and others they show muted backgrounds, such as this gray background. We're going to create this dashboard to bring in intelligence events around blue forest assets. In this case, we're going to use U.S. embassies around the world. Next, we're going to bring in embassy information. So we're doing a search across our portal to bring in this service. Once in, we can decide what kind of symbols to use. We can choose by type and choose symbology that makes sense. I go ahead and choose embassies, give a symbol of a blue call out, and consulates will do that on a green call out. So now we have our embassies and consulates displayed on our map. Hit done. And if we can click on them, we can see the understanding of what the embassy, what the data is here, where it's located, what the telephone number of the embassy is. So let's begin by adding in some other information. So say if I want to search my organization for boundary information. So if I want to add in, say, NATO, for instance, the layer comes into the map, and then we could use COCOMs as well. We can make some changes to the symbology. We'll go and make this outline white, and then choose how we want to label it as well. So now we got some boundary information into our map. Let's begin by adding in some other data. Might want to add some weather data, and that's outside of our organization. Here's a website that focuses on weather data for the world. This one is from the Environment and Climate Change Canada, and here we have a WMS service that we could use to bring in right into our map. So what we could do is grab this URL, go back to our map, add layer from web, and then choose our service. We'll use a WMS service, and we'll go ahead and add our layer. And it's going to give us an option about what layers to add. And we're going to go ahead and pick the layer we wanted to add. There's quite a fair bit of layers here, but we just want to see the rain. So we'll go down to where the rain is. As data comes in, we might want to change the transparency, make it more muted, just to give us understanding about where rain is. And we might want to add a refresh interval. For the refresh interval, we're going to pick a time that the layer is going to refresh. So for this instance, we'll pick 1 minute for this weather data. We're going to add a few more services into the map, one being incidents and one being buffers around embassies. On the back end, for GeoEvent, what we're going to do is we're going to connect to a service from Global Incident Map. This is a website that focuses on terrorist data and incidents. And what we're going to do is we're going to ingest that data and subset it by a range around each embassy. And once that's in the map, we're going to go ahead and add this to a dashboard later on in the session. And then we'll bring in the incident data as well. So next thing we'll do is click save, give our map a title, give some tags so people can find it, and give a description of the map. And then this is important. We've created this web map with some layers that are updating. We can decide how we want to share it, or members of specific groups. And it's going to give an understanding about how we want to share this. So we can update this information. And then we choose if we want to create a web application. So we give the ability of creating configurable apps. These are apps that have specific functionality. There's the ability to add a web app builder where we can define widgets and the theme to the application we're building. And then what this seminar is focused on, using dashboards. Dashboards really focus on real-time monitoring, key performance indicators, and giving situation awareness. Just to recap what we did in this section, we used the portal to view some already created content and create our own map that's going to be used for a dashboard. Now let's switch over to understanding a little bit more about real-time data and dashboards, and we'll go on and create a dashboard later on in the session. Having near real-time data and access to feeds are important to C2 operations. And what do we mean by real-time GIS? Real-time GIS can be broken into these three types. Stationary, such as weather stations. They're reporting their values, but their positions aren't changing. Moving platforms, such as planes, trains, people. And finally, events that happen. These are intelligence events, crime, tweets, and others. This is ArcGIS Enterprise with real-time and big data capabilities defined. Data comes in, ingested with GeoEvent server, which conducts real-time analytics and alerting. Event data is then visualized in applications in the enterprise. Data can be stored using the spatiotemporal big data store. This stored data can be analyzed with the GeoAnalytics server and with the GeoAnalytics tools in ArcGIS Pro. And finally, there's ArcGIS Velocity, which is a hosted offering and could do everything from ingestion to big data analytics. The ArcGIS GeoEvent server allows an organization to develop real-time ingestion and alerting methodologies. A user develops a process where an input connector is set up, connecting to a feed. In the previous section, we brought in incident data from globalincidentmap.com. Once we get that data, there's a lot of the data, and we can use a spatial filter called a geofence to get the incidents within a proximity of the embassy. A simple process is described here, but one that's common amongst operations, filtering out the events that affects the operation. In the first part of this technology demonstration, we show how we can interact with the portal and begin to integrate data into a web map. The second part, we showed how we can deal with real-time data. Now, this section is configuring dashboards. So we've created the web map, we've added real-time data. How do we put that into a dashboard? Let's get a little bit of background information about dashboards. ArcGIS dashboards are used for real-time monitoring, presenting key performance indicators, and providing situation awareness. They're totally configurable and users can create their own focused dashboards specific to what they are interested in. The main elements in the dashboards are a map. Then you add different elements that are being driven off of the attribute data in the map. It's up to the user to create what is needed for the mission. You can bring in different map, list widgets, chart information, or even embedded content like websites. And it works with the data that's in your portal. So let's go back to our map and begin to create a dashboard. As we open up the dashboard, the same information is in the map as in the dashboard. So let's begin by changing some of the settings in the dashboard. Here we can edit things like theme, text color, element color. Let's go ahead and use the dark theme. Right now we're going to start adding widgets around our map. So we're going to add a list widget that displays the most current embassy incidents. Here we're defining the incidents, and then we could sort those by the start time. And make those descending order so the most recent ones are at the top. And then here we can give some information about what's appearing in the list. So we'll do the start time, and then we'll do the incident name. So now we get an idea of when it occurred and where it occurred. We can then begin to edit items such as the list title, when it was last updated, remove some of the symbols, giving it a cleaner look, and then we can develop actions. So for instance, if I want to click on the list item and I want to see that item in the map, we have the ability to do so. Now we have our list widget. We can go ahead and click on one of these and it'll take you to that location. And there's another one there. We have the same pop-up information that's in the map. Here we can see the event here that occurred. We could also configure the map actions as well. So for instance, if I wanted to subset the incidents by what's in view, we could do that as well. So when we refresh the map, only the ones in view appear on the list. It's great having this interaction between map and list. It really focuses our attention on the ones that are around our blue forest location. We can turn off some of the layers here to really see the incidents around this location. Let's go ahead and add a serial chart. This will give us the events over time. So we'll pick that events embassies layer, pick the category field as the start time, then filter the information, say in the last 3 months. is. And now we can pick a filter at what we want to see. Let's say last 90 days. So now we see the chart of the events occurring over the 90 days. We can change some of the chart options. We're going to go ahead and change it from a bar chart to a line chart. Let's give our chart a title. And again, we could also make the chart filter out some of the widgets. So for instance here, we'll filter out the event timeline with our incidents so we can see those in the map. Let's drag our chart over here. So now we can pick a day and understand where the locations are that day. And then click on the location and it'll take us over to that location. We can continue to configure the dashboard to our liking and be able to support operational security around those blue forest locations. This dashboard was a pretty simple example of bringing in blue forest locations and matching that up with feeds around those locations. Building off dashboards displaying blue forest locations and operational security, I'm going to end on a dashboard displaying feeds around DC federal buildings. We're using the power of ArcGIS and integrating many feeds into the dashboard. In the map, we get situation awareness of flights from FlightAware, traffic, weather, and when we zoom in, even more feeds present themselves. This dashboard also uses machine learning to detect massing amounts of people throughout the city. Let's take a look at the items in the dashboard. The widgets in the dashboard can be broken into two main groups, blue forces and their locations, and where groups are located. And having this information in the map gives us an understanding of the pulse of the city and whether the city is busy, experiencing unrest, or calm. One way we can determine whether there is a massing amount of people, say for a parade or a rally or a protest, is by using camera feeds and object detection through machine learning. We're using TensorFlow to run object detection on groups of people and then updating the object counts to the features in the map. When we zoom into the map, we are presented with traffic camera information, identified by the squares. Each one of these squares represents a coloration based off the number of people or the number of vehicles. We use a relationship display to understand where are the number of people versus the number of cars. The higher the blue, the higher the number of cars. So if we click this pop-up, we can understand that there's more cars than people here, which is identified by the machine learning detection algorithm presented in the pop-up. Now, if they're more orange or brown, you're going to have a mixture of people or cars. So for this, as we bring in and look at the analyzed image, we can see there's a mixture of people and cars in this image. We can store these captures and these feature updates for further analysis. On the back end, we're using GeoEvent to capture historic events and then load them into the spatiotemporal big data store. So now we can go back and review times in history. On January 6, 2021, Washington, D.C. experienced a large mass of people descending into the federal areas of the city. And we can quickly see where people were located and at what time. With this data, analysts can conduct further analytics on the historic events and understand where masses of people occur and what time. And these types of analytics could drive watch areas and inform commanders where blue forces need to be posted up in the future. Let's examine how an example of doing historic analysis could affect future ops. So here we have an example of analysis of crime. And what we're looking at is a higher crime area in the darker red. We can use that as information to designate areas of no-go or areas where we want to keep track of items in that area. This was designated as a geofenced area in GeoEvent. We want to be notified when something moves in. So when Bravo unit moves into that area, the incident detector processor marks its entry and begins cataloging how long this unit has been inside this area. In this section, we have shown how we can use many feeds run machine learning algorithms, and use GeoEvent to get alerted on high event areas for region around Blue Force assets. Although the scenario focused on DC, the same framework will work in other locations, allowing U.S. facility commanders to get awareness of areas around installations and support a wide array of C2 missions. In conclusion, what we have seen in this technical demonstration is ArcGIS being able to organize C2 content, connect to live feeds, and allow users an easy way to display their real-time C2 data in an operations dashboard. I'm going to turn this back over to Josh and Don. Thank you again.
So we've covered a lot of information today, but it's more than just about technology and software. We hope we've piqued your interest and touched on some of the topics that you were looking for specifically. But it's more than just about the technology. It takes vision from leadership so that you can set standards and framework to be successful. It builds technical architecture, improve processes and procedures, provide training to help your workforce, and how to best leverage the technology to accomplish your mission sets. Our goal was to help you gain an understanding of our GIS platform and hopefully provide you ideas of how it can support you and your missions. And that's all we really had for you today, and we really appreciate it.
All right, let's start going over some of the questions we had in the questions module. We have, one second. Can GeoEvent ingest data from Blue Force Tracker? Don, Josh?
Yeah, yes, it can. It's all about just getting access to the data and the feeds. Typically within some of the comms department with the S6s, it's a matter of just getting access. And ArcGIS can ingest any of those data feeds, just as long as we have access. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Don. FMV feed in the Army is usually ingested on the workstations via IP/port. What format does the FMV need to be in to be visualized in a dashboard? Josh,
Yeah.
Don?
Yeah, so we can support the MISB standard and connect to URLs. You can embed the video in a dashboard or use GeoEvent to support the positional information. And that was a response that we provided there. Hopefully that answered it.
Yeah. How is the dashboard able to get to anyone anywhere? Do I have to log in to see it?
Am I on mute? No. It's very simple and can be viewed from mobile devices or your computer. I mentioned in the portal slide, it can be viewed from a different variety of standards, whether web, desktop, or mobile devices.
Excellent. Thanks, Josh. Are there other examples of dashboards that we can see?
Yeah, actually, there's quite a bit on the unclassed side. We have quite a bit, and we can show those to you. If you want to provide us your email and information, we can absolutely shoot you the ones that are accessible. And clearly, there's a multitude on the classified network. You know, if you just look at the ICGIS portal from NGA, you'll be able to see a lot of those great dashboards on the classified side, both on JWICS and SIPR.
Thank you, Don. Do I need to be a programmer to develop this dashboard?
Nope, not at all. Our dashboards are fairly simple to use. It requires not one line of code and comes out of the box. So it is a COT ready to be configured with anyone. However, we do have APIs and SDKs for the developers who, you know, are more into the heavy coding and can do the custom coding. But no, it's straight out of the box COT and can be plugged in right out of the box and ingest your data day one.
Excellent. Well, that seems to be all of our questions for today. I'd like to thank everyone for taking your time out of your day to spend to come watch our webinar, and hope to see you for the next one.